Do you ever feel stuck in the rat race? Life doesn't have to be that way if you're willing to put in the work. In Bigger Vision, Chris Garrison helps you discover the keys to abundance, freedom, and personal growth that let you live the life of your dreams. And now, here's your host, Chris Garrison.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Bigger Vision Podcast. It's Chris Garrison, your host, and I want to talk about my journey through business. So hopefully you can pick up some takeaways, some hacks, some tricks, some necessities that's going to allow you to be successful in your own endeavors in business. You know, there is so many questions that pop up when you start your business or when you jump into a pre-existing business. There's so many questions that need to be answered, and you're not going to have a perfect scenario when you start. So let's get that out of the way, because it will never be perfect timing for you to start something, whether it's business or anything else in life. But as soon as you put the action behind it and you begin to move forward and starting that opportunity, that desire, that passion, that business, whatever it is, as soon as you put that start, the action behind the start, things start to fall into place. And if you don't have the answer to something, there is something inside of you that will drive you to find the answer if you're convicted enough on your purpose and your why. So one of the first things you've got to have is the determination to do whatever it takes. I used to say, I'm going to do what the other person is not willing to do when I first started my business. That is still my attitude, because I want to win. And you've got to, in that process, you will gain confidence as you begin to keep those promises. There's a resilience that's going to be built up inside of you. So now that you've got this confidence, this level of confidence that you know you're going to succeed, and you are determined to do whatever it takes to make sure you succeed, you'll present yourself with a confidence when you're presenting your offer to the potential customer. One thing that I have seen go very wrong is when young entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, or just general salespeople, in all essence of the word sales, they walk up, and if they are needy because they've not had enough sales that day, when they're on the phone conversation or standing in person to the potential customer client, they come across as selfish. It's all about, how do I get to sell me? And it's less about, what am I doing and adding value to this customer's life? And when you come across needy, you're going to almost always lose the sale. But if you come across as take it or leave it, I'm good either way, there is something psychologically that happens to the customer that makes them want what your offer is. I've seen it happen. Trust me. When you have a pipeline full and your sales has been fantastic, and you're trying to sell someone on something, you sell in a different way. You bring and present it in a manner of, here's what I've got to offer, and you're almost foolish if you don't accept and take this offer, this opportunity right now. You've got to think it in terms as you are presenting an opportunity, and this opportunity has a timeline on it. There is scarcity in this opportunity. When you present something that way, it makes the buyer want to purchase, because everybody likes to have something that's unique. Everybody likes to have something that others aren't able to get and grab. Why do you think the sports cars and fancy watches and the designer clothes that have a big ass emblem on them? That's why, because it's a status symbol. And if it's something that's abundant and not scarce, then it's not as desirable. So when you put that scarcity factor behind what you're offering with a timeline, a sensitive timeline, then at that point, that just psychologically makes that customer want to purchase it. And then you make sure you go above and beyond when you actually do get to sell. Matter of fact, before you get to sell, everything about you should be, I'm going to give as much as I can possibly give. Whatever I can do to make you remember me, I am going to give it away. I'm not telling you to give your service or your product away. I'm telling you to acknowledge what they're saying, acknowledge what they're wearing, acknowledge their kids, what they're driving, what they're currently doing. Make them feel good about themselves. Make them feel like you care about them, because you do care about them, because it's that person, those individuals are the one that's supporting your lifestyle, that's allowing you to live the lifestyle you want to live. Therefore, you most definitely care about them, because if they didn't exist, then you wouldn't be able to have the revenue that you've got so that you can live the lifestyle that you want to live. We've got to train our brain to start thinking differently about everything is an asset. Everything is an investment instead of it being an expense when it comes to the people in our lives, when it comes to the teams that support us in our businesses, when it comes to the educational material that we take in and digest so that we're inspired, so that we're better trained in our industry, and we've got greater knowledge so that we can execute and be more resourceful when we are executing. And you immerse yourself. That's something that I don't see everybody do, especially the W-2 employees. They want to grow and they want pay raises, but as soon as they are required to do something off the clock to help them get that pay raise, they tap out. Well, I'm not getting paid for this. I preach to my team at my disaster cleanup company constantly about bettering yourself, because you are the only person that's going to take yourself to a higher level. Nobody is going to lift and drag you up the ladder. You're going to have to climb it. You got to put the effort in. And to be able to bring value, you've got to have some knowledge. So what is your value? I mean, value can be as simple as backing up and doing what you say you're going to do. What other value can you offer? What other value can you bring to the table so that you can be acknowledged as a hustler, so that you can be acknowledged as a go-getter and one that is dependable, that makes them want to stick you in a leadership position, which therefore will demand a higher pay? Not everybody's meant to be entrepreneurs. There's a lot of supporting roles in the play of life and in business. And you can get paid very well if you're with the right company and you put in the work and you educate yourself. And here's the trade-off. If you educate yourself, even if the company that you're at has crap culture and have put a glass ceiling on you, then you can go and move to another company that has opportunity and vision and growth available. That is why it's so important that you invest in yourself. So that's what I had to do. I had to immerse myself in the industry that I was in. I did it with the cleaning industry. I stayed on forums. I stayed on YouTubes. And then once I got that somewhat mastered and moving on its own, then I began to do the same thing for my real estate. And then I began to do the same thing for cryptocurrency when I was looking at investments with that. And it's a chain reaction. You will sit there and immerse yourself and gather the info and the data so that you're able to execute. And then once you're executing, you move on to the next thing so that you get more data and more information so that you can execute again and at a higher level at this time. Another thing is do what you say you're going to do. I've already touched on that. If you tell somebody you're going to call them, or if you tell somebody you're going to show up at a certain time, make sure that you show up at a certain time and put in enough time delay in case you get behind a car wreck or you get caught by a train or something happens, because excuses are exactly that. They're excuses. If you pre-planned and prepped well enough, then you should never be late. You're being irresponsible with your time if you're late. You didn't put enough value on that meetup if you're late. It's disrespectful to the person that you're meeting, to the person that's waiting on you, because they set time aside for you. I try my best to never do this. And when I do it, it bothers me so bad. And I am trying to figure out how I can make it up, because I know my time is precious. I fill all of my time. And when I set out time for someone and then they're a no-show or they're late and waste my time, it is aggravating. So don't be disrespectful. Do what you say you're going to do, because it's a rare quality and people will recognize that and remember you because you did what you said you was going to do. I've had customers tell me, I appreciate the fact that you showed up on time. You did what you said you was going to do. I mean, it's crazy. Especially when you get out into the service field with trades. because people just don't have that professionalism and don't realize what kind of impact it makes on the potential customer. You'll lose customers that way. Sell problems, sell solutions to problems, not your service. This is one thing that I learned, is to ask questions. I would walk into these facilities that when I first started to clean, I was going into restaurants and commercial buildings. Because of my cleaning system, it was made for a low nap commercial carpet. And I would ask them, I would, after I got in touch with a decision maker, I would say, do you have a current cleaning plan? Yeah, I do. Are you happy with that cleaning plan? Well, it's okay. Well, why is it okay? What areas would you like to see improve? I'm digging information, because if I can find out what their problem is, then I'll be able to solve it. And when I can solve that problem, I am valuable to that person. And I am securing my job with that individual. It's called job security. You do it if you work for somebody else. If you're a solo entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, you're doing it for your customers. We all work for somebody, whether you want to see it that way or not. And we've got to bring value if we want to get paid for that work. And how do you bring value? You find a problem. And that's what you're selling, is the solution to the problem. You're not selling carpet cleaning. You're not selling bookkeeping. You're not selling video games or TVs. You're selling a solution to the problem. You're sitting in that living room and you it's hard for the parent, it's hard for the mother that's got glasses, or the father that's got glasses, or the kid, and they can't see the subtitles on the movie screen, or whatever the case is. That's the problem. So the solution is, let's increase this TV size and let's give you a 4K where the image is even clearer and your eyes don't have to strain as much. Boom. You solved the problem. You brought value. You are about to get paid. And that's what it's about. So after you have sat there and you have decided that you're going to have endurance, you've got your why, you've got the hunger, the determination, and you have built confidence, and now you sell yourself with confidence and professionalism, and you go above and beyond what you said you were going to originally do so that you hit the expectations of the customer. You've immersed yourself to take in as much knowledge as you can, and this is a constant thing. You're constantly immersing yourself deeper and deeper so that you're like what they say, Bruce Lee. I'm not scared of the guy that knows 1,000 kicks and practiced it one time, but I'm scared of the guy that knows one kick and has practiced it 1,000 times, because it makes him an expert at executing that kick. And it's the same thing when you immerse yourself in content. And make sure it's in self-motivation. The motivation is a key factor, because let me tell you, if your mindset is not right, when obstacle and resistance comes against you, you will bail. But if you have got the motivation pushing you, and you have prepped yourself every single day, first thing in the morning, and if you're beat up at the end of the day, you're doing it on the way home, you've got to keep yourself at a level of performance. You have to push off all of the negative and the no's and everything else that you got throughout the day. That is why it's so important of self-care. You take care of yourself and you capture that motivation. And then after you've got the motivation, you're capturing the educational content of the craft that you're in. You're going to document your services. This is a scaling situation right here. And if you do it early on, then you're going to be in a much better position to scale faster, more efficiently, and with less stress. One of the common mistakes, including myself, has been, I don't have enough time. Therefore, I thought I couldn't take the time to document what I was doing, to document how I go about my process in marketing, in bookkeeping, in actually performing the service, doing the fulfillment of the operations. But if I documented that and took that time aside and said, okay, this is going to take me 15 minutes, but this is going to save me hours in the future, because once I've got this documented and I simplify it as simple as I can, I don't need a book. All I need is bullet points stating, so that I can sit here and hand this to someone else and give them a little support in training as they walk through this and answer any questions. The onboarding process for new hires, when you begin to delegate off these responsibilities that you had to hold when your revenue was still skinny because you were a startup, when you begin to delegate these off, the process will be so much smoother. So while you're trying to delegate these off, you've got to have somebody to delegate it to, right? So hiring is another big thing. Hire off of core values. Build your core values and structure questions around those core values. So, for instance, our core values at Absolute Cleaning and Restoration is GREAT. It's the acronym GREAT, and it stands for growth, resourcefulness. It stands for excellent service, accountability, and teamwork. Well, I built a question around all of those so that I could test and see if they're going to be a good fit for my culture. Then, after I get through those questions and I see that they're in a good fit, I move on to more technical questions. So, for instance, growth, I would ask them, tell me something that you have done in the last 6 months to better yourself, because that tells me that they are looking to grow, and they understand to grow, they have got to invest in themselves in some way. It could have been that they volunteered and did something in a giving aspect. It could have been that they took an educational course, or that they've been learning something new online. I don't care what it is. They could have been learning how to build beaded bracelets. As long as they show that they were trying to increase their skill set, their knowledge, their motivation, whatever, then that right there tells me that they are in alignment with the growth portion of our core values and what our culture holds. So I move through the core values, and then once I get them into the next stage of the interview, that's where I ask the technical questions. So if I was hiring a bookkeeper, we use QuickBooks Online. I would ask, "What's your experience with QuickBooks Online? Tell me where you were, where you operated this, and how long for you operated this for whatever company." I want the technical questions now, because now this lets me know, are they capable of doing the job that they're being hired for? Am I trying to train somebody up with on-job training, or am I trying to hire somebody with a skill set and I just need to identify if they fit my culture and then plug them in? And plugging them in is very important. I've learned that if the more welcoming you make it when they show up, the less stressful they will feel and the more they will retain as that onboarding process happens. We all are uncomfortable with new. It is our job as leaders, as business owners, to make sure that we set up an atmosphere that's inviting, not one that they have to fight their way through, but one that says, here's your business cards, here's your laptop cleaned up and ready for you, here's your login information and your email, whatever it is. And I've not always done this at an excellent level, but this is something that I'm constantly trying to improve on, because it is so, your team is the most valuable asset that you have. It's not the equipment, the tools, or anything else. It's your team, because without your team, you're back doing those jobs again. But when you've got a team, they are taking responsibilities, they are taking tasks off of your plate so that you can focus on higher revenue generating tasks at that point. So yes, they're extremely valuable, and you need to treat them that way. And that's why we want to make sure we onboard. But how do we even drive customers to our services that we're providing and selling? I would say hire off of a referral, a website and SEO company. So find somebody that's had good experience. This has been one of the number one keys. I remember when I first started out knocking on doors, that was my marketing. I got on Google Places and set me up a Google Place so that I could actually be seen if you typed in my exact name, which is awful because nobody knows your name yet. And then I went on to directories and tried to start adding my information because I was broke and I had more time than money. But the best way is to get somebody that specializes in that. Remember Bruce Lee with the whole kick scenario? These folks are doing it every single day. You're doing your service. You're not building websites every day. You're not doing search engine optimization. That's what SEO stands for, every day. And all that means is that they understand the algorithms that take place on these search engines so that you pop up on the first page and hopefully within the first 3 so that you get noticed. How many of you actually turn to the second page when you Google search something? Very, very, very rarely. I got to be searching something like technical advice if I'm going to the second page. If it's a service, or like if I'm looking up for food or a service or a product, it's on the first page. Walmart or something like that's popping up for the product, and the services, they're popping up on the first page. Why? Because they hired an extension of their team, a specialized person in that. I love extensions of teams. You do not have to hire somebody on the payroll to be able to get something done. There are individuals out there that are doing a fantastic job, and they are working for themselves and have their own company, and they can be hired out. We've done that with our bookkeeping. Our bookkeeping over at Absolute Cleaning and Restoration is hired out, and she's doing a fantastic job. She's got her own business, and she just plugs into our systems and takes care of our financial processing. The same thing for my marketing. I've got someone that understands and knows, and that's what they immerse themselves in, is that industry, and they're able to sit there and push so that if I say, hey, I want my air duct cleaning services to increase, I need more job on that particular service, then she goes in and starts tweaking. She knows what to research and what keywords to add, and it boosts us up the ladder. So this should be one of the very, very early things that you do. Matter of fact, I would say outside of the equipment it's going to take you to do the job on a basic level, I would make sure that in that upfront capital injection for your business, to make sure that you hire a professional company. And it's probably going to cost you somewhere between, somewhere around probably the $2,500 mark for a decent basic website that's good. And then it's probably going to cost you somewhere around $500 or more per month for SEO marketing. And then you also have pay per click ads, Google ads on top of that if you choose to run that way. It just all depends on how much of a budget you have. So now that you've got some digital marketing going on, because we all have smartphones in our pocket, and we pull those out and we type in the search bar on our Safari or our Firefox or whatever the search engine is on your phone. We all type in what we're looking for, and it pops it up because it's tracking us on the GPS, and it knows where we're at, and it's pulling that data from the area that we're at. I mean, it's pretty amazing. But now that you've got that coming on, now you need to scale because you've got a ton of customers coming through the door. You've got more demand because now you have more acknowledgement in the marketplace, more views, your services and what you provide. Hopefully you've been collecting reviews from your customers because you made it easy by copy and pasting a link. And then when you're done, if you don't have a system that automatically generates it, you ask the customer for the review. I always ask my customers, hey, if I gave you a 5-star review and you can find the time, would you mind giving me, if I gave you a 5-star service and you can find the time, would you mind giving me a 5-star review online and leave a little comment, because it helps other customers like yourself find me. It's huge. The algorithms love it because now you are vetted. Now it's that handshake of approval from your audience, your customers, and it validates you with these search engines. If you want to move up organically, capture reviews, capture 5-star reviews, and capture some type of statement below the review so that they tell what you did. It makes it more credible instead of just a 5-star. You've got this influx of customers, and now you've got to scale because you don't have enough equipment. Leverage debt. One of the best moves that I did in my business is when I took on some debt to purchase one of the more technical, advanced equipment that had been released in my industry. I try to always stay up on the newest and the best thing, not just because it's new. I want to make sure that it actually is fulfilling the job and there's been some experience with it. But I don't want 20-year-old equipment. I want within the year or two, because I know that everything's progressing at such a rapid rate that things are not performing as well as they did last year, because we have so much brain power and AI that's pushing into tools and equipment at this point. So I purchased some of the best equipment that also would allow me to do whatever I wanted to do on the level, and like if I wanted to do high-end commercial or if I wanted to do just smaller residential stuff, I could do both. I got a multifaceted piece of equipment and I went into debt for it. The absolute best decision I ever made, because if I sit there and factor in how long it would take me to work with my current equipment and not being as quick and as efficient because my equipment could only go so fast. Now, in between my equipment moving, I can run, I can hustle, I can speed up my time there, but you can only go as fast as your equipment can go. And if you can capture more time by having better equipment, it's a no-brainer. And I thought, okay, how long would it take me to save this money up and pay cash for this? And how long will it take me to purchase today with bank money? So I started making the phone calls and I said, here's my situation. Here's how long I've been in the business. And here's when I'm looking to purchase. Can you guys help me out here? And I got a no on the first one. And then I reached out to another and then they said, yes, we can. And then I got, okay, you don't have enough experience. We need somebody with a W-2 income to vouch for you to back up and make this application stronger. So then I had to get a co-signer is what that entailed. And I had a co-signer that had income. That way, it made the bank more secure with their loans so that if I flopped, failed, and didn't make my payment, they knew that they could go after someone with a job, a good paying job, and garnish their wages for that payment. They wouldn't lose out. The leverage is such a great word in every area of life. You can over leverage. Yes, we're not talking about over leveraging. We're talking about borrowing on an investment so that you can make higher returns than what you borrowed and what that money's costing you. Another key point is to make sure that you don't have more than 30% of your revenue locked up with one customer. So I had a very large customer that was on a reoccurring. I had several locations. This was a franchise and we were going in and cleaning them. And it was a vast amount of my income. And then all of a sudden they had financial problems and we stopped seeing the checks come in. And we're still cleaning because on commercial work, you're 30 to 60 days, sometimes even 90 days before you get paid. And I'm sitting here cleaning and then I'm noticing the checks aren't coming in. And then I'm so busy cleaning and running the business because I was still bottlenecked at that point because I didn't have systems and processes in place the way I needed them to be. I all of a sudden, 40 days into it, I'm like, dang, where's these checks? So I start making phone calls and then I get a response back. Oh, they filed bankruptcy. And I was like, oh, heck no, man, you've got to be joking. This was a third, if not more, of this was probably a third, but it was definitely a third or more of my night cleanings because we run day and nights. It was a massive chunk that we knew was coming in every month, and then all of a sudden it stopped. Now, thankfully, it was only a third, and I was large enough to where it didn't hurt me to the point that it put a strain on us. Did I notice the extra income gone? Absolutely. But did it cut into my ability to cover my expenses and to keep growing? No. So if you find yourself in a place to where you've got one customer that's holding 30% or more of your revenue, then you better start marketing and selling more so that you can get more accounts in, because you have yourself exposed to failure if something goes sideways. What if someone comes in and underbids you or you just make a mistake and they're never telling you about something that's bothering them and they just cut you without any communication? This is why it's so important, because if you're dependent upon one source of income, then at that point, that one source of income can make or break you. Find ways to pay your employees through incentives. Another mistake that so many of us make is we see our employees as expenses instead of investments. And we push so hard because of the pay that we get so that it provides a lifestyle. Why do you think that our employees would be any different? You better be able to paint a picture of opportunity and back it up with pay. So what I like to do is put a base salary in, or a base rate that is a very enticing rate if I'm trying to bring new people in, something that gives them their cost of living and then incentivize them through commissions and bonuses by hitting marks. So if they sell something extra while they're there on top of the already booked service, they get a percentage of that sale. Yeah, it cuts into the business's profits on that particular item, but that's why you need to understand my next point, the data. You need to know what these services are costing you to provide. Then you understand what your profit is, and now you can incentivize because you can take a portion of that profit and give it away. Yes, and give it away. Share. Givers gain. Stop having the mentality of me, 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 me. It goes back to even when I first started talking about when you're going to sell. You're selling a solution to a problem, and you're selling with confidence, not in a place of neediness. So there is plenty to go around. I'm telling you, the more someone, if they're incentivized, the more they're making, the more you're making. Because if you're having to pay them those incentives, that means more revenues coming in to the company. Therefore, more revenues coming in to the leadership that run that company. It's not rocket science, but we have been trained to, we're going to make millions by saving. We're going to make millions by cutting expenses. Yes, you've got to be conscious of your expenses and making sure that you're not frivolous, making sure that you're not being inefficient in what you purchase. But don't cut on your team. That's exactly where you need to be spending. You spend in marketing and you spend in your team. Those should be the two main places that you spend, because your team is what is taking care of the customers, and the customers are what is going to provide the living for you and your team. So we're going to find ways that we can incentivize our customers, our employees, but we're also going to make sure that we hire in on an aggressive pay scale as well. Because if you want A players, they're going to be expecting A compensation. Okay? They're not coming in for pennies. Don't fool yourself. So you just need to decide, are you going to be a company of A players, or are you going to be a company of monkeys? And if you're a company of A players, you better pull the pocketbook out and know that this is an investment into your future, into your business's future. Collect the data. Let's get back on that. Man, this was something huge that I did not take the time to do. It was all up here in my head, and nobody was able to just reach in there and pick it out. And if I was unavailable, then they didn't know what to do. And there was two things that was going to happen. They would sit still, or they would sit there and do it the way they thought they should do it. And that may not be the way that it needed to be done. That may have not been the absolute cleaning and restoration standard. And now we've got a customer that's experiencing something different. And consistency is what the customer wants to experience. They don't want to experience volatility because it makes them uneasy. But if you can produce consistency, then you will be able to sustain a customer's appreciation, and you will be able to meet their expectations. So I want to track how long it takes me to do a service. I want to track how many per whatever particular service I've got coming in. So if it's carpet cleaning, how many did we have coming in? How long does it take us to clean this type of carpet and this amount of carpet? It takes me longer to clean a residential compared to a commercial in some settings. If I've got a big wide open space, we can go in there and knock it out much quicker. If I've got a restaurant with a bunch of tables and chairs, it's going to require more time because now we're shifting and moving furniture around. So I'm collecting this data and I'm tracking the time when my team gets there, when they leave. If it's you showing up, write down if you don't have a system that does it for you, what time you showed up and when you finished and how much you cleaned. And there's different ways. We do some things by the square foot. We do some things by the room. We do some things by the linear foot, meaning in a straight line, how many feet. And I've got a price on that. That's how we used to do pressure washing. And I had a linear foot price for a 1-story, a linear foot price for a 2-story, and so forth. Same thing for gutter cleaning and whatever else. You got to know what it's costing you, because now you can make very good decisions as a leader in the revenue You may not be profitable in something, but it's taking time away from something else, and you're over here spending on a service that's not even profitable for you. If you're not tracking the data, you don't know this. Track the data on the sales. How many calls does it take for you to book a job? How many clicks when you're paying for these pay per clicks? How many are you having to have click on it before they actually make a phone call? How many phone calls are you getting from this? The money that you spent. We track when they call. We say, how'd you hear about us? We don't do pay-per-click ads. So we've got several different type of marketing advertising campaigns out there. And we track those campaigns by, how did you hear about us? That's what the question that gets asked when a customer calls. After we get to greeting them and they tell us why they called us, we'll say, well, how did you hear about us? Casually throughout that conversation. Now I know, oh, they saw us on TV. They saw our service vehicle with the wrap on it riding down the road or at the neighbor's house. They got a referral from a realtor or an insurance agent or whatever. They searched us on the internet. Now I know my volume that's coming from all of these areas, and it lets me know where I need to put my money. Now I might be blowing a ton of money in this one area and it's producing a lot. So I know I can keep my money blowing there because it's producing the results. If I can take that gross amount of money and then look at what it's costing me to bring in that new money, now I can get an ROI on my advertising investment. So if I'm bringing in $10,000 and it costs me $5,000, I'm 2xing my investment there. That's a great investment. That's a fantastic investment. So I'm going to make sure that I keep putting my money in that marketing as long as it does that. So you got to track your data. Another thing that is very beneficial is if you sit there and track your data from your customers' conversations. What are the questions that they're asking? This is going to help you build a call script. This is going to help you be able to train future employees that are on sales. This is also helping you cultivate a better marketing plan because now you understand the questions that the customers have. If you can lead out of the gate by answering the questions the customers have, you've eliminated the time constraint and you have made your customer happier. You've also sped your sales process up as well. They believe you are definitely authority in your place, in your industry, if you come out of the gate answering their questions before they even had a chance to ask them. So track what they're asking. You're taking the phone calls. You're talking to the customers out in the field. Listen and see what they're saying. Understand their lingo. Talk in their terms. You're in the industry, so you understand the vernaculars, the industry technical lingo and terms that get said. They may not even understand that at all, so they're going to explain it in their layman's terms. And that's how you want to communicate to them in your sales and marketing, in your marketing so that you can sell. Another thing that you want to do is provide the absolute best technology and tools for your employees. It is so much, I'm telling you, this is something massive for your culture. When you're constantly having to fix something because it's broke down or something's missing because it didn't get stuck back in its place, it's frustrating to you, it's frustrating to your employees, and it affects their mindset. And when your mindset is not at a positive level, your performance is not going to be at its best. It's as simple as that. So make sure you're giving them the best tools. When stuff's wearing out, replace it and get it right. That way, they have the very best. They walk in with pride because it looks and performs great. They don't have a breakdown in front of a customer that they're having to repair, which is killing the confidence of the customer that they have the ability to execute with the best tools and the best chemicals or whatever the case is that you're providing. So have those tools and equipment looking great in best working condition and update them. Even if it's working great, don't have a 25-year-old tool if there is a much better tool out there because of the technology. I mean, the technology advances are so incredible and so fast, you've got to stay up with them. And as you're moving into this, you've got to constantly paint the vision of why the company exists. We've got things we call the three main things. The three main things is we solve a customer's problem with great communication. The number two thing is we help our team members accomplish their goals. Number three is we provide a profit for the company. Those are our main things that we have sitting as well with our core values. I paint that picture as much as I possibly can, and I could even do a better job. Try to structure in weekly meetings with your team so that they get your energy. You, as the leader, are the energy, and you are the flagship. You are the one that's coursing out the path. You're blazing the path so that they can follow. They need to be able to see where you're wanting to go, because if you're not clearly communicating the direction that you're trying to go, then you're going to have multiple directions and multiple ideas of what you guys are trying to accomplish. So have that and keep painting that vision in front of them. Every time you're around them, communicate it so that it keeps the energy level alive, and it keeps everybody in alignment and in sync. And delegate as fast as you possibly can. As you are scaling, you want to push off those tasks that keep you from being able to bring in new revenue, new work, new ideas. Because at every new level, there's other things that need to be factored in. As you're growing, you got to add personnel. As you're adding more personnel and you're growing fast, you're going to have a training issue. So you've got to make sure that you've got those in. One point on training: start videoing what you're doing when you're out in the field. If you got to get a GoPro, if you can have someone, the other technician, maybe for a day to sit there and follow you through your process, filming what you're doing, then you can go back and edit and put voiceover behind it. Now you've got a training material. Not only do you have a training material, you've got this video that you can also repurpose for marketing. It's showing the customer, it's giving them an eye's view, a bird's eye view of what's taking place before they ever hire you. How powerful is that? Knowing that you can sit there and see what's going to take place and the quality and how they move through their day in a professional manner before you ever hire someone for a service. That is what's so great about having video. Take pictures and video. This gets repurposed for training, and it gets repurposed for marketing. This is one of the huge things that has made such a difference in absolute cleaning and restoration, and it's doing the same thing for my real estate company as well, my real estate investing company. And then to conclude on this, you want to simplify and you want to centralize your processes and data. Because as you grow, you cannot have a jigsaw puzzle of communication. It needs to be very simple, and they need to be able to go to one central location and pull the answers to their questions. So document. If I go in and I talk about carpet cleaning, since that's the example we've been using during this program, if I talk about carpet cleaning, I'm not going to go in and I'm not going to say, okay, if you walk in and there is this spot, then you're going to use this oxidizer, and then when you go to this other room, you're going to do this because there's this spot. No, it's going to be broke down to the simplicity of what it is. You hook the water hose up to feed your machine water. You turn the machine on. You go in and you pre-spray your detergent down. Then you come back and you get your vacuum hose and you bring it inside. And then you go back to the truck and you grab your wine, and then you go inside, hook it to your vacuum, hook it to your pressure solution line, and you begin to clean your way from the inside of the house to the front door. Simplicity. This is how you train someone. Then after they've got the basics, they can start adding on top of the basics. You've got to build the foundation first. So think of it as building a house. Simplify your process as much as possible, and then have extracurricular documents, extra documents, the brickwork that goes on top of the foundation that they can capture as they get the basics perfected and centralized. So have some kind of database. I don't care if you stick it in a binder, just have it somewhere and have it available at all times. For us, we've got binders that actually have some of our standard operating processes in the vehicles as well online in a Google Drive. And this is where we can go and grab it on the Google Drive. And then the individuals, our technicians that are out in the field, they've got the resources right there in paper form. If something happens to that paper form, then we can reprint and restack. So everybody's got access to our processes, and it's only located in two different places, a binder in the central location on Google Drive. This has been my journey. I took a $500 investment, and now we're a 7-figure business. And I plan to be even bigger and more. I have had my mess ups. I've had my mistakes. I have paid thousands of dollars for coaching. Multiple coaches come into my program, to my company, to help me perfect and be a better leader. And these are some of the things that I have taken away through the last 5 years of my journey. And matter of fact, not just last 5 years, because I've been trying to be a successful entrepreneur since I was out of my parents' house, and that was 18. And I finally hit it in my early 30s, and I'm 37 now. It is possible. There is techniques that help you shave time and avoid mistakes. And here's the number one. Surround yourself with individuals that are doing what you want to be doing, that are already doing it and successful at it. It's called mentors and coaches. Yes, you will probably have to pay, but there is a lot of free content out there online, like this podcast. And then there's paid for, where you can get a little more one-on-one and you can ask questions as they come to you while you're processing the journey. I hope this brought you a lot of help. I hope that you are able to take something away, and take one of these away and put it into action. Don't just take this information and sit on it. Otherwise, you've wasted your time and you've wasted my time. And let's not do that, because your time is valuable and we want you to live in success. If you could go on to the platform that you're listening this on and give me a 5-star review, put some words up underneath that and express how you feel about the content. And this helps me, like I was talking about in business and the search engine optimization. It's the same thing with podcasts. It helps me move up the algorithm and get exposure to new ears and eyes so that they can also grow with us. And we've got a great community of growth. You can also plug in on Facebook at Bigger Vision Facebook page, Bigger Vision. Search in the pages, Bigger Vision. And that is a free community. We've got several hundred individuals plugged in, a lot of mindset, a lot of business, a lot of investing. We've got live interviews that we do weekly. The actual community itself is great at dropping content there. So it is a fantastic resource. Plug in. It is absolutely free, costs you nothing. You're missing out if you're not plugging in. Until next time, guys, let's grow together.
This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.